Today, I'm going to show you how I partner with AI like a mother to help my middle schooler study for her foreign language class. Welcome to the Parent in the Loop. I'm Julie Kelleher, mom of two, education technology leader, former teacher, and AI enthusiast. And I'm here to help parents consciously and confidently partner with AI for more productive and present parenting. This is the first of many episodes where I will show you firsthand how parents partner with AI for more productive parenting across everyday tasks while always maintaining a parent in the loop mindset. Today, I'm going to show you how I partner with AI like a mother to help my middle schooler study for her foreign language class. Now, I've tried a lot of tools for studying. This former teacher, especially former middle school teacher and education technology leader. I love to tinker with all the tools that are out there and test different use cases. I've tried the free ones, I've tried the paid ones, and one that I am loving these days is NotebookLM to help me prepare custom study materials for my middle schooler. Now, NotebookLM, as described by Google, is a free tool for personalized AI research and thinking that helps people make sense of complex information more easily. Now, the way I like to explain it is that NotebookLM is like a private notebook for studying specific to topics that the user puts in. It keeps everything inside a private workspace, which I love, and it's tied to the exact sources that you pick. So in other words, it's like a closed learning environment, a closed study environment. It doesn't make things up, and it shows you where the answers came from based on the documents and the resources that you add. You can use it for homework help, learning new topics, creating quizzes, creating flashcards, creating mind maps, even creating podcasts and videos. All of those are really great study tools, especially for a middle schooler. It caters to unique learning styles, and those features are built in. So let's jump right in today. So here's the use case. And this is a fictitious use case. I am helping my sixth grader learn to study for her German test. So she takes a foreign language. That foreign language happens to be German. And I'm going to use NotebookLM to create a study guide. And here's the assumption. The parent doesn't have a German background, or the parent maybe studied German when they were younger, like me, but they don't really remember everything. Now, before I jump in, I want to share the parent in the loop reminder. So in this example, I ensure that I am the parent in the loop. I am the one that has access to the tool, NotebookLM in this case. I create the account. I add all of the content. Nobody else does. And I determine how that content is used within the tool. I determine which features are used. I determine what prompts I'm going to put in there. And then I review anything before I let my child use it. Well, I sit alongside them, of course. In this case, I'm going to be demoing a tool in this example for a middle schooler. I'm not using my child's school information. I'm not using her actual course information. I'm not even using the subject that she's learning. So I'm anonymizing this so I can show you how we use it, but I'm also staying the parent in the loop because I'm protecting the privacy and the safety and security of my family. Okay, so as we see here, I am in NotebookLM, and this is the logo here for NotebookLM. NotebookLM is free. And I have titled this German and English Vocabulary Essentials, but as you can see here, I could rename this. I could call it German Study Guide for middle school. I could call it whatever I want, and I can always go back and change this, which is great. So let me just kind of walk you through what we're looking at here. So over here on the left, this is the sources. So as I mentioned before, NotebookLM is like a private study notebook, really, where you add your own notes, your own materials, just like we would kind of a physical notebook that I definitely used all the way through college. And this is where you can upload your sources, and you can upload a variety of sources, which is cool. You'll see here that I added some German and English vocabulary essentials as a source, but I'm just going to show you how nice and easy this is to use. So you can upload a PDF, you can drag and drop it. You see here supported file types, PDFs, text, Markdown, audio, or documents. You can also link to Google Drive if you've got a folder in Google Drive with these materials that you want to use. You can certainly do that. You can add a link to a website. You can also add a link to a YouTube video, and you can also just copy in text. And so for example, when I was actually helping my child study for this with a different subject, I was able to actually just copy in text that came from a document that the teacher provided that I could just paste right in here. And that's actually how I added the content for this specific use case here. So I just added one source file here, German and English Vocabulary Essentials. I just went online. I searched for open educational resources and said, provide me with a list of German vocabulary for a middle schooler to learn. And this is the list that I got. So I just copied this list from the tool that I got it from, pasted it right in here. And here's what's really cool about this. So this list is in here. You always get this summary of what's in here, right? This is telling me, okay, from this specific source, this source provides essential vocabulary for beginners learning German. It provides this, just provides a great overview. I can collapse that if I want to. I can also collapse this. So here we go. I just have one source in here. And once you start to upload sources, it auto generates here in the chat what it thinks this notebook's going to be all about, right? So I just uploaded one source, which is all those vocabulary words, the English and the German versions. And it says here, look, this provided source is an excerpt from this text titled this. And, this is, I don't really need to do anything with this information, but if you add a lot more resources, it starts to synthesize all of that and say, this looks like it's a study guide for math or for chemistry or what have you. So, this is where the AI is already starting to work around like reading the sources that you provide and offering some synthesis and analysis here. So out of the gate, I could type in a prompt and I could, I could say, give me all the German nouns I need to learn. Super simple, right? And you see here, it's pulling from one source. So it's going to go to that source that I provided. And if there were 10 sources, it's going to look through all those sources unless I said only look at one. And here, now I have a list. Oh, these are all the nouns that I need to learn. Okay, school, class, teacher, homework, notebook, etc. Right? So family nouns, everyday nouns, that's a lot of nouns. Now, I am not a learner that's going to learn from just this long list. So what's really cool about NotebookLM is that it has these built-in features over here on the right side. And you could create an audio overview, a video overview, a mind map, reports, flashcards, a quiz, etc. So I already went ahead and asked it to create these things because it will take about a minute or two to generate them. And I'm just going to show you how cool this is, right? So I used the source file, just uploaded all that information of all of those vocabulary words. I selected create a quiz, create flashcards, create a mind map, and let's take a look at these flashcards. So, and you can expand it if you wanted to. Here are these flashcards that accommodate different learning styles. And what's really awesome about this is that I can sit alongside my child and work with them through this, right? So this is asking, what's the translation for the German word die Schule? I know what that is. It's school. But if I didn't know what it was, there's always this option to explain it. So I happen to have a little bit of a German background, but if it were a topic that I did not know anything about, or it was something I hadn't studied in a long time, like let's say AP calculus, then I could go to explain and you'll get an explanation here. And it's also, helping the instructor or the tutor or the parent learn about the subject that they're trying to help their child learn. So again, with my middle schooler, I would not have them use this alone. I would not have them create this alone. I would let them sit alongside me after I've created it and I can explain to them how I created it, because that actually kind of makes them think that their mom is a little bit cool these days, which is rare. So that's an example. So we got these flashcards here, right? Just more, we got more, class, teacher. So you could just just go through all of these. They can check it and get it right or get it wrong, check it, get it right or get it wrong. So that's one example. And you know what? If I didn't like the output of the first one, I could say bad content or good content. In this case, I haven't really checked this out enough to know if it's good or bad, but for now, I wanted to show you what the flashcards tool looks like. Now let's go back to the studio and we can see that I also created a quiz. So the quiz, again, I just selected the option to immediately create a quiz based on the source files that I have in here. And here we have the option for the child to take or me to take a multiple choice quiz. So what is the English translation for that? Oh, I think I remember what it is. I think it's eraser. Let me guess. Yeah, I got it right. Hooray. So that's the correct translation. And if I didn't get it right, or if they didn't get it right, I could sit alongside them as the parent in the loop and we could look through an explanation together, right? So, well, in this case, it says that I did get it right. So let's move to one and let me get it wrong. Okay, so the German word for sister, I'm going to select this one. I actually know that this one is for mother, but I'm going to select sister. Not quite. So 1, it tells me it's not right. 2, it tells me what the correct translation is. And if I need an explanation, I can again select explanation. So here, it provides more details here. Another really cool thing is I could say, show me the source of this information. And because this is a closed environment, it's only going to go to the source files that I've provided. So in this case, there's only one source, but it's not going out there and pulling random information, querying all these places where I don't know where the information comes from. So when it comes to studying and study help for my kids that are not adults, middle schooler, elementary schooler, once they get to high school, this is a really great tool because it's a closed container. The input is controlled based on what we add. The output is based on what inputs are in there, and it's not going out and grabbing from other places. So very unlikely to hallucinate. And it's got these these native features that are really accommodating for different learning styles. So now I'm going to go back to the studio and I'm going to show you the mind map. This is one of my favorites, mainly because I'm a visual learner. So here, again, I just asked it to create a mind map. I selected that feature, generate a mind map. It took all those vocabulary words and it organized them into all of these categories, which is amazing because especially for middle schoolers, graphic organizers are a really great teaching and learning tool. In this case, this mind map is a great teaching and learning tool because we can group it. It's not just a long list of vocabulary words. It's vocabulary words in context, right? So, all right, let's study colors. Let's go through the kitchen and let's try to, name our colors here. And so we can just go through this and say, okay, what does Schwarz mean? What does Weiss mean? What does Gelb mean? What does Rosa mean? And I can just ask these questions. I could also then collapse that. And let's say we want to go to days of the week. That's easy. There's only 7 of them. So here we could do Dienstag, Mittwoch, Donnerstag, Freitag. So again, we can practice in these chunks. That's another great teaching and learning tool to practice the information in chunks. So we've got a visual map. We can, kind of serves like a graphic organizer, organizing everything into these categories. And then we can chunk the studying into these categories, days of the week or verbs. Verbs tend to be harder. And that's when you're starting to build sentences. Colors can be a really fun one. So I just think a mind map is a really great tool when you're working with younger students. And then lastly, I'm not going to build it today, but I would highly recommend trying the video overview if you're going to try this at home because it is incredible. And what's cool with the video overview is you can actually prompt it specifically. You can choose a visual style. And I'm going to say, create a hype video to help a middle schooler get really inspired to learn German. Add easy to remember tools and learning devices, e.g. mnemonic devices, and make it and introduce ways for them to more easily remember German vocabulary as well as full sentences using the vocabulary words. So you can choose a style, whiteboard, watercolor. I just like to let it auto select because this is such a cool feature. So now it's going to generate a video that is kind of customized based on the prompt that I added there. So the video feature is so cool, and trying to share it during a screen share doesn't really do it justice. So I'm actually going to include a link to the video where you can see it and hear it yourself. And I highly encourage you to try NotebookLM. It is free. It's easy to use. It's in a closed environment. So it's AI accelerated studying and test prep that really caters to a parent in the loop approach. And it's something that I am using constantly now for all of the assessment prep at home for both of my kids. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new today. And I would love it if you would share with me ways that you might be using NotebookLM or other tools to help your middle schooler study for their quizzes and tests. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope that you always stay the parent in the loop.